BingX, a trusted global crypto exchange. Trade spot, futures, or copy top traders easily. Sign up via the link or referral code to get 30 USDT instantly, plus up to 1,500 USDT in bonuses for verification, deposit, and trading.
Argentina finds itself at a crossroads, grappling with the implications of President Javier Milei's resounding victory in recent midterms. A triumph that has ignited debate about the nation's future and its burgeoning relationship with the United States. Opposition posters splashed across Buenos Aires just days before the vote starkly depicted Milei's name superimposed on a U.S. flag, a visual protest aimed at capitalizing on anti-American sentiment fueled by accusations of Donald Trump's alleged interference in the election. This narrative gained traction as the U.S. president announced a substantial $40 billion bailout for his Argentinian counterpart, accompanied by a clear warning: Milei's defeat would signal the withdrawal of American support, despite facing what has been characterized as the lowest point of his nearly two-year tenure. Marked by a severe economic downturn and persistent corruption allegations, Milei secured a decisive victory. He garnered approximately 41% of the vote, outpacing his opponent's 32%, a result that defied the predictions of most opinion polls. This electoral success propelled the president's party, La Libertad Avanza, from a minor presence in Congress to a commanding majority, especially when allied with the center-right Pro-Party, led by former President Mauricio Macri, a long-standing ally of Milei. The magnitude of this victory, acknowledged by Milei himself as surprising, has left many Argentinians questioning whether it reflects genuine popular support for his policies, or the undeniable influence of what many perceive as Trump's economic coercion. Agustin Cantillo, a 30-year-old broker, voices a common sentiment, acknowledging the potential for stability offered by the U.S. bailout but harboring reservations about long-term dependence. I know that the U.S. bailout will bring some stability, but I also know that if the U.S. has to let go of your hand at some point, it will, he states. Cantillo, a two-time voter for Milei's party, emphasizes his deep-seated aversion to Peronism, asserting, "If there's one party I will never, ever vote for in my life, it's Peronism. That said, what matters most to me now is stability." He elaborates, Milei is fixing the macro issues that matter to Argentinians: low inflation, a stable dollar. We've never had economic stability. Milei's controversial chainsaw policy, involving deep spending cuts, has demonstrably reduced annual inflation from over 200% to around 30%. While still high by global standards, this figure represents a level not seen in Argentina for years. However, this economic recalibration has come at a cost: the administration's strategy of depleting dollar reserves to artificially inflate the peso has necessitated significant international financial intervention, including a $20 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund in April, with $14 billion already disbursed, and the recent U.S. bailout package. The surge in imports, a direct consequence of Milei's policies, is severely impacting local industries and commerce. Since Milei assumed office in December 2023, Argentinians have experienced a sharp decline in purchasing power, a decrease in real wages, the loss of over 200,000 jobs, and the closure of approximately 18,000 businesses. Hernán Lecher, director of the Center for Argentine Political Economy, CEPA, echoes the surprise surrounding the election results, noting the stark contrast between the outcome and the prevailing social indicators. "We often say in Argentina that a cheap dollar wins elections," he observes, attributing the result not only to falling inflation but also to a palpable fear of returning to past economic crises and a pervasive anti-Peronism. Lecher points out that a large part of society has a very stigmatized view of Peronism, referring to the influential political movement founded by former President Juan Domingo Perón. Sociologist Juan Gabriel Tocatlian highlights the effectiveness of Milei's campaign in propagating a narrative of impending economic collapse should he not win. That created a sort of panic among many people who don't want another devaluation, who know the cost is extremely high and therefore prefer to avoid a catastrophic scenario. Tocatlian explains. He further notes that within Peronism, there had been a flicker of hope that Trump's intervention might backfire, drawing parallels to past elections in Canada and Brazil where U.S. tariffs had inadvertently boosted the popularity of opposing candidates. However, Tocatlian distinguishes the Argentinian situation, stating, "But in Canada and Brazil those were backlashes caused by Trump's punitive measures. Here in Argentina, however, he was generous, and for some, not many, but for some, that support was at least the assurance that there wouldn't be a catastrophic economic crisis." Achilles Ferrario, an 82-year-old bookshop owner specializing in imported art and design in central Buenos Aires, who voted for Peronism, expresses profound dismay. He finds it almost unbelievable that our people voted more guided by fear than by fury towards a government that does not hesitate to commit, spread and promote the most atrocious attitudes. His primary concern lies with the nation's future generations. "What worries me is the future of our children, grandchildren and their successors, that they might end up living openly in a colony of the U.S. which I believe is the status that corresponds to a country whose economic and geopolitical policy depends entirely on the U.S. and on a figure such as Donald Trump," Ferrario concludes, articulating a deep-seated anxiety about Argentina's sovereignty and its potential trajectory as a nation heavily reliant on external powers.